Department. Ellen.
Ellen Orleans with Climate Initiatives as well.
Zach.
I'm Zach Swank with Partners for a Clean Environment.
Lynn.
I'm Lynn McCullough, and I'm the manager at True Hospice Thrift Shop.
Elizabeth.
I am Elizabeth French. I work with Zach on the PACE program.
All right, Zach, go ahead and share your screen.
Cool. So in addition to being with Partners for a Clean Environment, for the last few months, I've been doing double duty as one of the business liaisons for Boulder County Public Health, and just give a quick update on the most recent changes in the last couple of weeks. So we were pleased to see the July 4th case counts coming back down. So that last most recent spike you see there in the 5-day average of new cases in Boulder County over on the far right. That's pretty much attributable to July 4th with the delay you have in the incubation period. So it's nice to see that level back out. And this is the 5-day average. If you look at the actual dailies, the last week has been pretty steady, around 12 new cases a day. So not the lowest we've seen, but also steady at a low level is a good thing. So on June 29th, Boulder County Public Health extended our face covering order indefinitely. And then on July 16th, the state issued a face covering order. They also put a pause on any new variance applications. These would be the county variances, the county request for variances for 2 weeks while the state is experiencing a surge in cases. So Boulder County Public Health is still, mulling over a variance, but we won't have even the opportunity to apply even if we wanted to for a few more days here. The state's face covering order is a bit of an update for businesses. It doesn't really change much for consumers or the public, but the key change for businesses is whereas the local Boulder County order says, customers, the public must wear masks in places of businesses. The state order says no owner, operator, or manager of a business may provide service or allow an individual to enter, and puts the penalty of potentially losing a business license tied to that. So that's a change where it's now, before it was, the onus was on the customer, and now it's also on the business in order to comply. There are some nuances and caveats there. This is a simplification. We'll send out these slides. They've got the link to the state order. But I know that that's a bit of a change, and so I just want to pause for a second and see if Lynn, Ed, or Jordan, if you have any questions about that. I know, Jordan, you just joined, so.
Michelle just joined as well. So we actually have 2 new people that just joined us. So for those that just joined, we're going through the public health update real quick. We do have it recorded so you can catch that first part, but Zach is talking about the state face covering order, and if you have any questions about that.
Okay. So if you do have questions, we have updated our graphic that's on the Boulder County site that shows, what, for what sector, for what situation, whether you're an employee or a customer or the public, whether or not face coverings are required. So that's been updated, well, it's being updated to match the new state order. So that's available to you if you do have questions as well. And then our regular sessions where we give these types of updates every week have moved to one at Wednesday at 3 p.m. And that's where you'll hear similar information to what I showed just now, as well as a little more detail. And then a rotating special session Wednesdays at 4 depending on what the hot topic is of the week, whether it's, events or retail or what have you. And then those are being translated and released in Spanish by the Latino Chamber on Thursdays. So if you do have any questions about COVID related, public health, COVID related questions for your business, for your thrift store, always, there's our call center that's open 5 days a week, and then the COVID biz at bouldercounty.org is a great way to reach us.
Do we have any questions for Zach? You guys are all on the front lines of some of these mask orders as people come in and employees. Are there any questions for the public health side before we move on into the agenda?
No, I'm good.
Okay, and then Jordan, do you want to introduce yourself? Jordan and Michelle. So we'll start with Jordan. Do you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Yes, sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I'm Jordan. So I'm the store manager for Mountain States Children's Home Thrift Store in Longmont. And so I'm assuming I've been attending some of the Boulder County meetings that you guys have had earlier. So we've gotten a lot of talks about the masks. I don't think I have any questions. I think for the masks, I think we're pretty good. We have a lot of really good compliance in that area. But I may have questions later on, depending on what you guys have, what you're going to talk about. So I'll let you talk about that. So.
Okay, and then Michelle.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm with Lifestyles Consignments in Longmont.
Okay, you put yourself on mute. There you go. All right, there you go. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so we're doing pretty well. We're just making adjustments as needed. We don't have like 50 people in here at a time, so that's been a little helpful. So yeah.
Great, thank you both for joining us. We have a couple others on the call from thrift stores. So we'll move forward in the agenda. I'm gonna have Sandy share her screen. And so for those of you that just joined us, we did go over the public health side of it, but the rest of the agenda, Sandy's gonna kind of cover what we're gonna be talking about today. And we have some poll questions for you throughout this. So your feedback is always great. Opposite screen, Sandy, switch screens. There you go, and go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm getting there. Hi, guys. Thanks, Corinne. This is Sandy with the City of Boulder, for those folks that just joined us after the intros. My colleague Ellen and I are here to support you guys and work with PACE and with the Chamber to see how we can help the OGs of the reuse world move forward during this strange time and beyond. So the agenda, is it changing? Okay, there we go. We already did intros and Zach did his COVID check-in. That's great. Thank you so much. I'm going to do a quick recap on the information that came out during the June meeting. And then Ellen and Corinne and whoever else is going to jump in and talk about a couple of things that were pertinent from the last meeting. There's many of them, but these were the two that I think floated to the top in terms of unwanted donations and how to better promote and advertise thrift stores. And then, of course, we want to hear a lot from you in both these categories as well as future topics going forward. So just a quick recap of what kind of filtered out during the June meeting. Was really everyone was saying that there's just so many donations these days, and we totally get that, and we've all been cleaning our houses, but some of the top things around that popped out were the fact that there is storage issues, because not only is there a lot more stuff that needs a place to be, but now you guys are having to quarantine things for a period of time before you can put it out. So it's just creating a logistical nightmare in terms of space. And which kind of leads into the fact that you need extra staffing, because a lot of your volunteers are probably not coming back to you right now at this point, or maybe they are now, but they weren't then. But the whole problem with having a shortage of volunteers and therefore extra staffing, because you need to shift things around and kind of keep a timing or a schedule on some of the items that come in. So that was a large part of the conversation. Also talked a lot about the requirements for cleaning and sanitizing and quarantining, and how it is shortening the hours that you guys are able to stay open, because it takes time and it's labor intensive to clean up everything after every customer comes in, and to make sure you're keeping only a certain amount of people in the store at a time. And kind of part of both the cleaning and the sanitizing, the quarantining, and the quantity of donations that are coming in, having to kind of scale back on the days and the hours that you're actually accepting donations because of short staffing, because of storage issues, because of quarantining timing requirements. And then all of those unfortunately can lead to, loss of profit, because your hours are different and you're not running the same business the way you used to. And one of the other large things that popped out of that meeting was just getting the word out, not only about thrift stores being a large part of the zero waste climate, but also that you guys are open and that there are guidelines to follow and what those are, but to please, yes, come shopping at our stores still. And then the other part of our first conversation last month was about, well, what can we do as a group, this group that's pulling these meetings together to support you guys? And this was kind of the main brainstormed list, very well condensed, I think. We had some really lively conversation, but having access to more storage space obviously was a big thing. Educating people that are bringing things to you guys, donating things, as to why certain items aren't acceptable and that you don't want them, and then what other alternatives for properly disposing of those items are. And along those lines, then realizing that a lot of you folks that are running these stores have to take on the burden and the cost of disposing of these items properly, like through Charm and other places, that is costly. And you can't sell them, but you are trying to be nice and keep them off the street. So, so you take them anyway, and then you're ending up with the burden of having to dispose of them properly. So that's another need we'd like to address. Comes up again and again. Textiles are huge in the waste world right now. What do you do with textiles when you have so many of them, and they are, for the most part, not recyclable, unless you want to just turn them into rags. So that's something I think we all need more talk about, both the city, the county, and all of you folks, as to what we can do around textile recycling. Also, it came out that in the first group, that having proactive engagement, kind of like this group that we're forming, but also cross-organizationally between not only the city, the county, and thrift stores, but amongst yourselves as well, would be super helpful to keep the lines of communication open there. As I mentioned before, I'm getting the word out about thrift stores being part of this kind of larger zero waste picture that the city of Boulder and Boulder County are really trying hard to move towards, a more circular look at the world. And then also something that was really interesting that came out is that let me start over, having some sort of system for which all of you stores can, either post your items or something, or say, here, I've got a bunch of these things, we can't sell them, can you? And just start some sort of internal marketplace amongst your stores, where the items that are not useful for one of you could be useful for another and could still find a home, a reuse home somewhere else. And then lastly, just how to promote that you're open, that you're having sales, that you want people to come in and buy things, that you just a little help with advertising and marketing and making sure that the word gets out, was another one of the support needs that popped out of the meeting last month. That all being quickly said, does anyone have any questions about any of that? Or anything to add?
How does this resonate with those industry partners we have on Lynn, Ed, Jordan, Michelle? Do these, some of you weren't on the call, but do these resonate with you?
Yes, this is Jordan. Yes.
Yes, with me too. This is Michelle.
Right. I think all of these are, I think that we're all kind of experiencing these new issues and space problems and how to dispose of things properly. And yeah, there's just more steps in the process. So yes, it resonates for sure.
Great. Shall I stop? I'm sorry,
Thank
go
you
ahead.
for you're mentioning about the volunteer issue. And I
Right.
will say, even though we have had a few volunteers more come back, we're still in the same boat as we were a month ago as far as hours go. So we're still
Okay.
trying to do an awful lot with very little. So I would imagine the other thrift shops are probably experiencing a similar thing.
Mhm.
Are your numbers, are donations still pretty high right now? Are people still bringing in a lot,
Yeah,
especially since we're quarantined?
you know, because normally in the summer we're experiencing overwhelming donations, so that's like a usual thing for us. And so now it's just that, but ramped up, and it's only made worse by the fact that we used to be able to be open 7 days a week for donations, and now we're open 2 days a week for donations for 5 hours. So it's all compressed, and it's just like people's tempers are running really high. People are getting angry when we say we can't take something. People are getting angry when we run out of space. So I'd say like a lot of our stress is around the donations. The shopping situations for us is pretty manageable. People are wearing masks, they're being respectful. Sanitizing has been a lot of work, but really for us, it's that donations piece where we're seeing a lot of the stress happening.
Ed, is that similar? I mean, you were on the last call, but we couldn't get your feedback last time. I want to make sure that if you had anything else to add, that you're
No,
available,
thank
that you're
you.
able to.
We've actually have our donation hours from 10 to 2 Thursday through Saturday. And they're very shortened. Before the pandemic, we were open Monday through Saturday from 10 to 5 for donations. And also we run a pickup service. Our pickup service has gone down to maybe 3 or 4 pickups on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday now. We just do not, I mean, we're like everybody else. We don't have the storage space in order to put these donations to let them set 4 to 5 days before we can actually process them. So what we have done, one of our vendors that we actually purchase goods from, supply us with about 15 pallet boxes or Gaylords. And we're using about 3 or 4 Gaylords a day and putting them in a space. When we receive donations, we have a table out back that we can spray them off with a fine mist, and then we pack them into the boxes for 3 to 4 days before we actually go back to processing them. We have stopped taking fabric clothing. We do have a small clothing department in our store, which does very well, but you know, that's 5 days that you have to let them set before they're able to be touched. And we just don't have the space in the facility. I wish we did have a 5,000 square foot area that we put items into sanitize. We are now using a 40-foot trailer from Berkey here in Longmont that they're letting us have very, very reasonable for overages and so forth. We are missing sales on fabric furniture because we just don't have a way to let them set for several days after we sanitize them. On the other hand, leather items and things that are vinyl, we can process faster, spray them down, wipe them down. The sun's a big help when we have it. It's been interesting. One of the most interesting parts of it is that in June, if we had been open our regular hours that we had before the pandemic, we would have probably grossed the same amount of sales. We're finding that here in July that our sales are increasing and our customer count is increasing, but yet we're still able to keep the social distancing. And I mean, yeah, we've had a couple of customers that have come in and complained about the mask because they, you know, they all have their own opinions and everything. And, you know, I'll share a story. We had a disabled veteran came in, and really he pointed at the sign we had out, and I mean, he just started going off to my assistant manager, and he left mad. He called me, we played phone tag, we talked to each other, and I set aside a special hour for him to come in on the following Friday. And the biggest thing about it that made the connection for us, I let him blow off some steam for the first minute or two. And he said he is a veteran and he was disabled from the sheriff's department. And I stopped him midway through a sentence and said, hey, wait a minute, let's go back to something you said. You said you're a veteran. I said, thank you for your service. And I said, from one veteran to another. And when I said that, that conversation just went, all the air blew out. And I invited him in on Friday morning to spend an hour before we opened, just him, without a mask. The funny thing about it, and the reason why I'm going through the story, he came back the following week. He bought $300 worth of windows from us, okay? So he came back the following week to pick them up. He sent his son in to get me. I walked outside. He had a mask in his hand, and he says, Ed, I'm going to try it because I respect what you're doing and for what you're doing for the community. And he says, I think I might be able to make it through with this mask for the half hour I'm going to spend here. He did. Everything's cool. And that's a win-win for us. And, you know, we do have people that really, really, as soon as they see the mask sign, they kind of blow up. But we explained to them that we're following the Boulder County recommendations and that we could possibly lose our licenses if they come in and don't wear a mask unless they are medically enabled. But then we also tell them that we have an hour every Wednesday from 9 to 10 that they are welcome to come in and shop without a mask and social distancing. And that has really helped. We have five to 10 people on Wednesday morning come in from 9 to 10 to shop. So
Thank you for sharing. It sounds like you're creating some creative approaches or creative solutions to some of the problems. I hadn't heard of anybody putting those portable storage or some of those pieces. And your mask story just highlights how you are on the front lines of some of the mask debate. To be creative, and we appreciate that.
We're also very fortunate that we do sell appliances and building materials. Okay, so that part of our business has not declined at all. We've had some great donors from Estes Park that's given us a lot of refrigerators and their hotel remodels up there, and that's what's kept our business afloat. So we're very, very indebted to the community.
So Sandy and Elizabeth, you guys ready? You're next on the agenda, kind of an overview of the topics we want to go into detail about.
We're having alarm problems.
Yeah, and I think that actually Ellen was probably going to go into talking a little bit about unwanted donations.
Yep.
We made a few modifications.
We're good. So our first topic, we'll go into, Sandy, thank you. We're talking a little bit about, last time came up a lot about unwanted donations or things that you can't resell, or you have to recycle, or they're hazardous material, and it costs you money. There's a lot, it costs you money, there's time, there's, storage, there's, staff time required for that. So I think we're going to have Ellen talk a little bit more about that piece. So I'll skip through. Thank you for being flexible. Go ahead, Ellen. You're going to unmute, Ellen. You need to unmute.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, I think we wanted to talk a little bit about the different aspects of unwanted materials. I think the first part is mostly on your shoulders, what you do to keep them out, deciding not to accept them. But once they get into the store and you decided that they're not a good fit, we were wondering what you do with them. And by understanding what you do with them, that can help us understand how we might be able to support you. Corinne, were you going to have the poll?
Yes, I'll launch a poll. There are several questions of the poll. When you get it, there are several questions. They'll go into the future conversations as well. But
okay.
So the first question for you is, do you landfill unwanted donations instead of taking them to like a place like Charm? And if the answer is no, that you take your donations to Charm, answer that. But if it's yes, we landfill them, we're looking for the reasons why. What are those reasons? And you can select more than one. Launching that poll.
Can I add something while people are doing the?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Keep talking, Ellen.
Okay,
You can
good.
ask us
So
to
in
do-
some cases, I just wanted to say what CHARM was, if you're not familiar with it, since not everyone is. It stands for the Center for Harder to Recycle Materials. It is on Arapahoe Road, 6400 Arapahoe Road. So just really east of Boulder. And that's one option. There may be things that need to go to a hazardous waste facility. There may be other places where you take them. So as we kept developing this, we were focusing initially on CHARM, but we're happy to also hear, as it says on the bottom, about other options too. The hazardous waste facility that the county runs is the hazardous materials management facility. Typically, it's where you might take if people donate chemical products like paints or thinners or gasoline for a lawnmower. I think, who would do this? But I bet you get all kinds of stuff that you don't need. So CHARM materials, the kind of big issue is, what do you do with electronics? So many people feel bad about throwing out their electronics, but sometimes they may give you something that doesn't work properly, or you can't sell it. In addition to electronics, some of the common things might be scrap metal at CHARM. If you get any kind of bicycle parts, that they would take those. Fabrics, textiles, something that CHARM is not taking now, but may again in the future. So if you have questions about CHARM or hazardous waste, I'm happy to answer them too. This will just give us a good idea of what we might be able to do with some of the facilities that are government related or city related here in city or county related.
Well, and so a lot of people are voting that they take their stuff there, but I think that's great. But if you want, you can chime in and say, you take it there, but what type of resources is it? Is it draining resources? Is it hard for you financially? Is it, still are there, you don't want to pay the entrance fees? Is that causing issues? So Jordan, Lynn, Michelle, Ed, even if you take it to a recycling place, are there barriers that are making that harder and harder to do?
I just want to add, it's not just costs, but it's the time of your employees, or even having an employee to take it. We want to hear about that too.
Yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about CHARM, because I really don't know a whole lot. We do have a company out of Fort Collins that we do all our metal recycling through.
Okay.
They provide us with a I guess a 40-yard trailer that we put recycled goods into, and they recycle it for us, and it's no charge. However, we do about twice a month, we have a 40-yard dumpster through Republic, and they give us very, very good rates, but unfortunately it is going to the landfill, and that's where a lot of the furniture that people dump on us and things of that nature goes into, and we do pay for that. You're right, we do not have the means to bring something, a truckload to CHARM, because of again, I don't know what their fees are, but I'd like to find out more about it, but that would be a hindrance to us. We're right now trying to negotiate with a company in Fort Collins that we get paid for our recycled metal goods. So we're always looking for things like that.
We heard about tires, and we heard about TVs last time. Jordan, you unmuted yourself. I know it sounds like you were going to.
Yeah, we have a gentleman here that deals just across the down by a budget home center. He deals in used tires. So anytime we get tires or rims that we think that he might be able to use, or even the old ones, we take them down to him, and he'll either put them on somebody's car if they're good enough, or he'll put them in a stockpile. So we do that. I mean, we don't have that issue very often.
Jordan, go ahead.
Oh, sure. Well, I think like being in this industry, like you get to talking to a lot of different people. You make some friends with like, I'm sure, I think everybody can probably relate. Like you've got the electronics guy, like the customers that come in there that like the game systems, that like the old TVs, they want to repair things. And so like we've had to get pretty creative in what we do with some of this stuff. It doesn't mean that like it's profitable, but at least it's keeping it out of the landfill. And I'm not saying that we've been perfect at this, but we're just trying to be as creative as we can. Books, we have been overrun with books. We have not seen this many books. And so like the library's not accepting books here in Longmont. So like I'm giving boxes away because I know there's no way we're going to be able to get through the mountain of books that we have. And you just find relationships with people who, this is what we've done, is find relationships with people who like want to take a box of books and hand them out to kids. It's a kids books and they can hand them out at the hospitals or wherever it may be. There's different organizations that can do different things, but the volume is the problem. You know, I don't think anybody's going to want to come take 2,000 books off of our hands on any given day, but, you know, you kind of just try to pace yourself. You know, we used to have like e-waste and electronics that come pick up. Unfortunately, since COVID, they have lost their jobs. And so we're kind of having to do that with any little bit of labor we have. Sometimes I'm doing that like on a weekend. If I'm not working, I'll tell, you know, we used to have volunteers that did this. They would run down to Charm. They would run down to like Longmont has our recycling. We have Busy Bees here in town. And so, you know, we're having to find new ways of doing it. Sometimes I'm asking a favor from a volunteer. Sometimes I'm just asking if they can load up my truck and I'll take it down later when I've got a chance. But yeah, it's difficult. It really is. You're trying to make the most efficient use of our time and resources and labor, and sometimes that's exhausting. But yeah, I found that more valuable than not is finding those customers who love that stuff, who can fix something that we can't hear. And I'll take advantage of that any chance I can. So that's what we've been trying to do, you know, but it's not a perfect system, but it's the best we can do at the moment. So, yeah.
Jordan, you're right. Books are kind of overwhelming right now. And we actually did have a rotation with our small library we've got. But EcoCycle, we also have a EcoCycle dumpster from them that would do our cardboard, our paper, and they will take the books that no one wants. So,
Michelle or Lynn, did you have anything you wanted to add to, you know, this particular topic? Or
well, I think it's kind of like speaking to their point. It's all about forming relationships. And since the burden has always been on us to figure it out, like our stores probably as zero waste as is possible, but it all takes time. For instance, we set up a giving room. So we've partnered with every nonprofit in Boulder that is willing to pick things up from us. So we earmark things for various places, but with COVID, many of these places are no longer taking donations. We face medical supply donations. We used to have, 3 places that would take medical supplies off our hands. They're no longer taking them. A lot of the loan closets are closing down. So the sources are drying up. Like Sister Carmen, as far as I know, the thrift shop is still closed, and they were taking our toys that we couldn't sell. So now we're throwing them away because there's no place to send them. So it's one of those things that it's always changing and always taking up our time and always impacting our bottom line. So there is a point where we're here to make money for our charities. So doing the right thing is often like we do it, but there is a limit to what can be done each week.
Right.
So this issue has been exacerbated by COVID because you don't have the people taking the goods, you don't have the storage yourself, so not being able to have a place to put them until that reopens again. Zach, go ahead. You unmuted, and Michelle also did.
Following up on your comment, Lynn, do you all, frequently exchange, like, hey, I've got, tons of books, or whatever. Does anybody have an outlet for that? Or, Jordan, you mentioned of the electronics guy, not to give away your secret sources, who's going to take, materials off your hand that are problematic for you. But, is that something you would ever consider, and I don't know this guy's appetite for, how much electronics he's interested in procuring, but like, is that something that you would be interested in, sharing with a group and saying like, hey, we found this guy who's interested in this thing. If you've got it, reach out to him.
I think sharing information would be great. I don't think we're organized in that way right now. A lot of our contacts have changed over the years, and we've lost people that we once knew and things like that. But I think that it would be great. Like for instance, talking about the book overflow, we've spent a lot of time thinking about that because our volunteers that do books do not want to see any paperback books go in the EcoCycle dumpster. They just can't, it hurts them too much. So we've done a lot of different sorting, and we have like a children's book program. It's called A Book in Hand, and they stock the children's libraries at like doctor's offices and stuff like that. And they come and pick up. So one of the biggest things that I've always done is tried to get relationships with people who can come to me because I can't go to them. So that's one thing. And we have the DAV actually picking up our books that we can't sell. They're willing to come twice a week. So at least we know it's getting like one more chance. And then whatever they do with it, hopefully it will be positive as well.
I did want to mention that, oh, Michelle, do you want to speak first?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, we've really stopped taking a lot of books. We don't take electronics. And so we're basically down to furniture, home decor, and clothing. And even my clothing, I've actually been buying out from my consigners, the clothing that I think that we can still sell, but the whole style of clothing for us has changed. Nobody, a lot of people aren't buying for work stuff. It's all a lot more casual. And we don't have Christmas parties coming up. So I'm turning, people are already bringing in their Christmas dresses. So I'm turning all that away too. So, so I'm looking for, I'm sending them to the thrift stores. But other than that, I have 4 $3 racks, and I'm trying to sell them, as cheap as I can, the ones that I can't get, the full value of what I wanted out of them. So that's kind of where we're at. We haven't had to deal with appliances because we don't take them. So I don't have a lot of recycling, and I've partnered with Jordan a lot. So I try to take him my better stuff that I donate to help them.
Yes, you have, and thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
And I was thinking like kind of what Michelle was talking about, this happens a lot. The market has changed, so more people are showing up at thrift shops to donate things. But one thought that I had regarding that is we've thought about this for a long time at our stores. Like if we could
Lynn, you have a call Park 1. Lynn,
connect with the makers, the people who make things, because those Christmas dresses could become something else. Like it doesn't have to go straight to the landfill. We've tried to promote upcycling ideas on our website, but we just don't have a lot of time or resources to do it. But if we could promote thrift shops for the makers, then maybe more things could become sellable, but we can't currently put it out because there aren't people coming to buy it.
We're hearing a bunch of new collective ideas. Go ahead, Ellen, you had another comment there.
Oh, so if you donate to Charm, I did want to say that they also go through their stacks and stacks of books they receive. Some they will sell online if they feel like there's a home for that, and whatever's like, if something's very badly tattered or stained or just can't be, that physically will be recycled as paper. The other one thing we were just playing around with the idea was the idea of Charm on the road. If there was a truck that came to you to take away things to Charm, and I don't know how the fees would work for this. Would that be of use so that you wouldn't have to go to Charm? And if so, would it be, like, how often are you taking things away? Is it something that has to happen once a week? Do you not have room?
Well, like we've kind of partnered with EcoCycle over the years where they kind of tailor it to us. So we have bins that we put hardback books in. We have scrap metal. We have a lot of different things that would be beyond the typical business. And we pay for it. So we pay.
And how often does that, how often is it a monthly thing, a weekly thing?
We get pickup every 2 weeks. And
Every
so
2
what I'm
years,
trying to
yeah.
do, because I have to pay by the pound for like, say, scrap metal, I have
Yeah.
a scrap metal entrepreneur that I try to get it to before I have to pay to recycle it. You know, there's like
Okay.
things we try to do to help our bottom line, but it's not really an environment that's encouraging responsibility. We do the right thing, but it's not encouraging a business person to do the right thing when they have to make these kind of choices.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of the business managers last time were saying, like, even if there could just be a discount would be nice, you know, something. So
We have EcoCycle pick up from us twice a week. So
Oh, okay. So it really varies.
Yeah,
And you
Ellen,
pay for that, right, Ed?
I'm sorry.
You pay for that?
Yes, we are paying for it. Unfortunately, I have not found anybody to buy our cardboard yet, but we're working on it.
Ellen, I think the idea of Charm on the Road has, yeah, it intrigues me too. And I wonder, you know, is there, you know, speaking from the county's perspective out loud and not, no promises. But, you know, I wonder, is there something that, you know, the county has a vested interest in circular economy and, you know, landfill diversion. And we have all these ways in which we, you know, put resources into it, whether it's, you know, a incentive for starting recycling service or, you know, waste diversion bins we buy for businesses. But it seems like, you know, the challenges of this group are a real opportunity. You know, we have responsible parties, you know, that are given these things, and you all want to do the right things with them. But, you know, how could we, you know, work with Charm? How could we work with EcoCycle to, you know, like I know that there are costs for them, you know, to get their truck out there and whatnot. So someone's got to cover those costs somehow. But I wonder if that's something where we could get, and again, no promises, but, you know, get the county, you know, get the city of Boulder, get the city of Longmont to step up, because it's, you know, it's just a different way of achieving the same goals that we're already putting financial resources into.
Hey, Zach, I'm just curious because, I mean, like, if we're all having the same issue, like, wouldn't Charm then kind of have the same issue as well? Or, like, I mean, it's different because it's a more of a you know, government-funded organization. But, you know, I worry that, like, how is it going to be feasible? I'm just trying to be realistic about it. Like,
that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, certain things you figure, like the scrap metal, you know, there's always going to be a market for that, right?
It's a very low market, but I mean,
right.
steel is like what, less
Yeah.
than 2 pennies a pound. But still, there's still people out there. As long as they have enough volume, they can get gas money for it. That's really what it comes down to. So.
And one question that I had too is, as I'm looking at my group, training is a really big challenge for us as far as getting all the volunteers and staff up to date. Like, recycling processes change all the time. What you can recycle changes. You know, questions come up all the time, like, what can I do with a ball jar? What can I do with a bad plastic tub? You know, so one question I had too is if we can get resources around getting people trained, better signage, things like that as well.
That we could probably help you with. That's a little easier. The other thing, I used to give trainings to city employees all the time. And now I'm thinking, would a virtual one be helpful? There are also a lot of videos that the city has made up, and EcoCycle and other groups that I can refer you to that would probably be good starting points. And then it's possible to do maybe a live one, you know, bring your weird questions, because every video can't cover, you know, everything, but people do wonder, you know, do I have to take the labels off? What about milk cartons?
And I think that's what thrift stores, we face that a lot because we get such a crazy variety of stuff. So we have to, as managers, really be savvy with compost and recycle. And I find that even though I've spent my entire career with an interest in zero waste, I don't even have the answers every time.
And it changes, you know, I'm sure ceramics are a big one for people that do home furnishings, and that has changed, in glass. And so I would be happy to talk to you individually or set up some kind of just training. And I'll also refer you to some, there's some good videos that have come out in the last couple of years.
And yeah, I mean, Pace has done training for thrift store staff before, and we'd be happy to support that again. Absolutely. that's one that I definitely can commit to. So, you can reach us out to us, this afternoon, if you want to set something up, and we'd be happy to do that. Another thing, and I mentioned this on last month's call, but another thing that we had done in the past, we did it with Sister Carmen Thrift Store, was they gave us a list of, their common problem items that they didn't know what to do with, or, we're getting pushback from, people dropping stuff off that, they wanted an outlet for. And we put together for them a customized sort of cheat sheet of, they could pass out to their, their customers who are dropping things off to say, like, sorry, we can't take your, used TV, but here's what to do with it. And it had, I don't know, we had maybe 20 or so different items on there. And I know that it varies so widely, but, if you do find that you've got, some things that are, come up again and again, be helping get that information out to your, your clientele who are dropping the things off, so they don't even, they know not to come back to you in the future, for the same thing.
That's been really helpful. Like I actually saw their when they published that, I saw that and I thought, oh, this is such a great idea. And we've always tried to make our own version of that. And of course the resources change and you lose people. And so it's good I should revisit that with you about what are the current places for these things.
Yeah. And we will volunteer. Like, I know you guys are busier than ever, right? If you have time to shoot us an email with, here are the problem items, we'll do the research for you. We can put together a graphic for you if you want, or, just a list of, where to take it, whatever. We'll do that legwork for you. And so I know that can also be a barrier of like, well, like, I don't want to throw this out, but I don't have time to figure out what to do with this today, or this week or this month. So it's got to go, you can lean on us to help you with that as well.
Is it safe to say there are problem items that you've always had, but there are more problem items right now because of lack of resources, and maybe classifying those and figuring out if you have thousands of books, you're all saying thousands of books because the people that normally take books aren't available anymore, like libraries and schools and all that. That there may be storage issues as well, to keep them out of landfill for a short term. That might be, I'm just brainstorming, Zach. There might be the always, but then there also might be the now, and what do we do in the short term to overcome some of the COVID issues until those relationships are available again.
I'll chime into that. So like, yes, books have been a thing. Furniture, that's been huge. Huge footprint items. I think there's only so many places you can take a piece of furniture that maybe a consignment store can't sell. But we've had to decline so many of those. And then I come back the next morning and we have 5 dressers sitting on our back driveway because we said no earlier, and then they're back again. So, we see that a lot. So that's one thing that's been a problem for us.
And since COVID, it's gotten worse for us. We're not open as much. Possibly we're also declining more things, but it's really disheartening. We come in and it's the back of our building is accessible by a frontage road, and it's mattresses. We had 2 mattresses and a dresser show up overnight, plus an old waterbed frame, and it's just all big, heavy stuff that we can't sell, that we have to figure out what to do with. And people just don't. I think they just don't care, and that's kind of sad. But then, it's really hard for us to deal with this stuff.
So maybe an interim solution, and with Zach, Ellen, Sandy, Elizabeth, maybe when we send out the next invite for next month, we can ask the short-term, long-term questions. What are some of the key items you're having the most issue with? And you'll have some more information to kind of make, kind of figure out what you guys can do between your programs, or what are some potential solutions, or what some topics we can talk about. We could also send out the information on where they can contact you about training, about, finding out, getting that kind of resource list in graphics.
Yeah. This is not a problem that you guys are having, but me as a, thrift store customer, I had an old couch. And, I did a bunch of research online. Okay, which thrift stores take couches? And then, in the process of, I actually had 2 old couches, but in the process of like trying not to drop them off at the landfill, learn that there's like a hierarchy of, obviously a consignment store is going to take a certain quality of couch that, a thrift store, a thrift store may take a certain quality of couch that a high-end consignment store may not. Right? And so that's that sort of triage. I spent, a couple hours driving around town, trying to figure out, where I could take this couch. And each time I would ask, what other thrift store do you think might take this? And in the end, I got rid of the thrift store took one, and then the other one, it was just trash. But it was occurring to me now that like some sort of, kind of like master list of, okay, here are, the thrift stores in the area, and, Michelle loves to receive these items, and Jordan loves to receive these items, and, Ed's not doing clothing right now, so, like, don't bring clothing to Ed. I don't know if that would just be so infeasible to keep updated, or if that would have value to you all. Curious.
That's something I've been thinking about a lot too, about having just some sort of hub or clearinghouse or place where you guys can communicate internally about these items. As you get ones that you can't use, but maybe somebody else can, and maybe that can go along with being like this, I don't know, a shared Google Drive location where people can not only maybe post future agenda topic ideas, where we as the city and county and Kimber can post the research that, if you have the items that you're not sure what to do with, that's where we can keep kind of a running list of those problem items. It'd just be kind of a shared place to do these things, where you guys can share materials amongst yourselves, or kind of like a little virtual garage sale, or saying, hey, I've got this couch, we can't take it, can you? And or we've got this ton of mattresses, can you folks at the city help us figure out what to do with this? Or and then a list for, like I said, for agenda topics for future meetings. I mean, I kind of envision just a little bit of an internal organizational hub of some sort. I wonder what folks think about that, or if it'd be just another thing to have to try to maintain in your business world.
I think in a lot of ways, once we got it started, it'd be so helpful, because we could help each other save time. And as far as updating, like one thing that would be cool, all the different stores, part of what flavors what we can take is the size of our store. So some stores have a bigger floor plan than others. That impacts the furniture. And of course, with quarantine, that's changed everything. Like furniture normally is a huge part of my business. I'm running a truck 3 days a week. We're not doing any form of pickups right now. We just simply do not have the manpower. The truck's there, but no manpower, no way to quarantine things, So our customers who are so used to just giving us a call and we go get their furniture, we're not doing it right now. So it would be nice to kind of be able to share that before the person is at your door angry.
Right.
Okay. Well, we want to be respectful of time. We have 3 minutes left. I don't know, we had you guys, everybody answered the rest of the questions which were about, how do you advertise or promote yourself, which can be a topic in the future, and that will help inform that topic among those of us that meet before this. But is there anything anybody would like to kind of close out with as we have 3 more minutes?
It might be helpful if, I invite any one of y'all to come visit our restore, because I think we all have some different problems that maybe you can see and define. But I think the best, when a person donates, they think that their donation is the best donation out there, okay? And unfortunately, it might have pea spots on the cushion, or dog scratches or things like that. But in our case, they think that we give it to our homeowners for their new homes, and it just isn't the case. So we accept everything that we accept is on our website, and we've updated it, keep it updated constantly. And so we actually have a link for our donors to go to and request a either pick up or request certain items that they may not see that they have questions about. So that's a good avenue. But I do invite each and every one of y'all, come by our restore, take a look. And I want to get into your store again, Jordan. It's been a little while since I've been there, but I do refer a lot of people to you as far as the children's things go. So
We thank you, Ed. I appreciate you. And if we can't take, a lot of times it is furniture, and I don't know if I'm being a burden or if I'm helping. And so,
well, unfortunately, we're usually the last place people come to, and I wish we were the first.
sure.
But,
Well, yeah, that's kind of where I was going. Like, to have a internal, external preferred items list. Where like, Ed would love to take your bed frame, where Lynn not so much, or whatever. That might help educate the public a little bit. And I know it'll change over time, but if it could be a thing, like a platform where everyone could, log in and update, on your own maybe, or maybe the county maintained it and you could let us know as things changed. My last thoughts.
I think when no matter what the industry is, and no matter what when we look at central locations for things, it makes it easier for businesses and consumers in a lot of ways. So if we can come up with some resources as this group, that'd be great. We're going to continue this group monthly, do a better job of promoting beyond just my emails. And then probably in between send you some resources, whether it be COVID related or some things that are coming out of the different programs, but then continue to have these conversations and do problem solving, and maybe even share some, I'd love to see what the storage units that Ed has out to kind of collect and store some things look like, because that might be a solution for another store someplace else in Boulder County. Any final thoughts from Ellen, Sandy, Elizabeth, Zach? Anything else you'd like to say? Or
just one, I wonder, because you guys have been talking so much about how, Ed sends things to Jordan and Lynn, and there's sort of this connection going on, but if there are other stores that haven't gotten word about this group, we'd love to build the group. And so please share this resource and link with your coworkers or colleagues across the thrift store and consignment world.
the bigger the network, the better the solutions that we can make collaboratively. So.
Definitely.
Thank everybody for their ideas and time. It's been eye-opening for me and got lots of ideas churning around in my head.
Ditto. Ellen and I will churn together.
Thank you, Lynn, Ed, Jordan,
Yep.
and Michelle for joining us from industry.
Yep.
We'll send out an invite for future, and then it'll be recurring. But please forward on to those people in your network.
Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, you guys. Thanks.